Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's Doing Justice Brings Joy. Today I have joining me my son, William Adams, who will help me co-host this show in the upcoming weeks as I'll be on the road traveling, but the show must go on, and he will be hosting the show um, in a couple of weeks. He and his brother will carry the torch. So I'm introducing him to you this week. Good morning, William. William, can you hear me?
Morning. Yeah, I can hear
Um,
you. Can you not hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. Thanks. So, really excited about this week's show. We're going to start with one of my favorite things, a Target update. Um, yesterday marked the 200th day of the Target fast. 200 days. And in that 200 days, there have been significant changes in terms of commitments from individual Black people to support the fast. And we have been doing that consistently and to a 12 billion with the B devaluation of the stock over the past 200 days. Last week, Target tried to okey doke. That was not successful. Nobody believed it. Nobody bought it. Target Peter principled up its CEO, and he announced his resignation from the position of CEO. But what he failed to emphasize, all the news said, "Oh, he's resigned. He's resigned. He's resigned." Yeah, he resigned from the position of CEO, and he Peter principled up to executive chairman of the board. Does that sound like punishment to you, William, for his actions?
No, but typical corporate maneuvering.
Yeah, typical corporate maneuvering, thinking that they could spin it in a way that would make African Americans and LGBTQ community members and Hispanic community members who have all been strong on this boycott. They thought that would fool us into thinking that it was time for the fast to be over. But Dr. Jamal Bryant, who has been leading this boycott that started out as a 40-day fast and has ended up being 200 days and counting. Today is day 201. Who led the boycott, said Reverend Jamal Bryant, a pastor from Atlanta, who led a 40-day Target boycott in March and continues to lead that boycott. Don't get it twisted. I love how these financial things try to make it seem like it's over. Said in a recent interview with PBS News that he is disappointed with the upcoming change in leadership. So they also announced that the COO was replacing the current
CEO.
CEO. And again, this transition isn't effective now. This transition is effective in February 2026. So if this fourth quarter has a big rebound,
February.
right, February 2026. Can you believe that? So if there's a big rebound in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter, then do you think that change is going to actually take place? Come on. Um,
No,
Reverend,
they're waiting to see how the Christmas season goes.
that's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. And and Reverend Bryant flagged that Cornell is actually being promoted despite stepping down as CEO. And he is being replaced by the COO, and he has now moved upwards as the chair of the board, said Bryant. So it's really rewarding bad behavior. We're really disappointed, but we hope and we are hopeful there will be a change of perspective when it comes to DEI for the company. Bryant said that it was important for him to organize a boycott of the company since African American community spends $12 million a day at Target, and it is one of the leading employers of African Americans. Dr. Bryant also has started a campaign. It's not a boycott, but it's a campaign of Dollar General, and we'll start talking about that in a future show. One of the things people all across the country are talking about how the foot traffic in the nearly 2,000 stores has declined sharply and continues to decline. We've been watching it fall since the announcement of the boycott, and it has continued. It has not picked up, and we're talking about looking at the numbers for back to school sales, and we'll have a good sense of what's going on with the Labor Day sales if Target can do that. Um, um, Still, groups like the Washington-based DC Boycott Target Coalition insist that falling foot traffic is due in no small part to a boycott that spans coast to coast. They want to try to, the CEO, Brian Cornell, and industry analysts want to downplay how important these boycotts are to their bottom line, but their stock prices continue to reflect, um, even in as the market is getting bullish, as you know, it's still reflecting poorly. Their stock is not doing as well as other stocks across the market. So, what do you think about this, William?
Again, I think the real effect of the boycott will be through the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's make or break for both sides. Because if people
Mm-hmm.
break the boycott for Christmas and the holidays, then that could potentially undo all the progress that's been made. If there's a big push for the boycott and the boycott continues through the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
then A, that could be catastrophic for Target,
Mm-hmm.
and B, gives the boycott legs through the 1 year mark.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important to that we focus in on the 1 year mark. I'm looking at Target's um, prices right now, and their market opened down, and they're at $95.96 a share, and that is six down significantly from their 52-week high, which was $161.50 a share. So I think that you can really see over the course, and when this boycott started, I believe they were at $148 a share. So over the 52 week range, um, they have dropped from $161.50 to, excuse me, $95.95 is what's posting right this minute. So I think that the boycott is clearly having an impact. And so now we have to hold the line. This is the time when people start shopping. We've got from Labor Day, we have to hold off, no Target for Labor Day. um, we need to Black Fridays, all the kind of sales that are going to happen. We have to hold the line and not shop at Target. From Thanksgiving to Christmas, we have to um, engage in an Advent fast to make sure that we as consumers are not spending money at Target. We need Target to really understand that this is a long term. We're in this for the long term.
Right.
We have 3 days left in by Black August, and National Black Business Month. And the Target Fast is a good opportunity for us to go to targetfast.org and find Black businesses that have the products that you need and buy direct from them. And we have featured this month burdoutnaturals.com, where you can get amazing skincare and hair care products. That is been the Black business that we have featured all month. And I want to remind you again to go to burdoutnaturals.com for your hair care, skin care, and particularly for you men that have beards and razor bumps. The products are amazing and designed to give you that beautiful ebony skin. So this is also National Minority Donor Awareness Month. And with Minority Donor Awareness Month, want to encourage folks to register to be a bone marrow. Bone marrow is painless. You might get some cramps, but it's painless. Now they don't drill you anymore. They do it through by taking your blood like you would get a transfusion or something. Donate blood. You can donate bone marrow. I want to encourage people to do that. We have a nurse at UNC Chapel Hill who is in need of a minority nurse, a black nurse at UNC Chapel Hill, who needs urgently bone marrow match. I'm encouraging people in the triangle to please go and join the registry for donation of bone marrow. I'm encouraging pregnant women to volunteer for your placenta and the baby stem cells to be used for transplantation. This is a donation that can save lives. Um, and I've been reminded this week, I spent yesterday in the emergency room about how fragile health can be. And I will be celebrating next month um, 10 years of surviving this multi-myeloma. And we're going to have a big celebration. But you can help me celebrate by signing up on the bone marrow registry and on and the donor the organ donor registry. So please do those things. The bone marrow registry, you can register now and maybe save a life now while you're still here. Um, we need those. We need those donations. So I've been joined by my son Thomas as well as my son William. And talk to me, Thomas. We talked about the Target boycott, um, but the voter turnout in Charlotte boggles my mind. It's so bad. um, and it turned out that my request for Charlotteans to have a early vote turnout record of 5% seems far from being achieved. They had for a total early vote in 2023, they had 1.8 people turn out in early vote. That's just pitiful. So, Thomas, what are we looking at in terms of early vote? What's going on in Charlotte? You're on mute. Thomas, you're
Okay.
on mute. Yeah.
All right. Well, what I will say is that there aren't that many people who have voted, but one thing I think you will want to take into account is that these are the partisan primaries, and so most of the primaries are Democratic primaries, but there are a few There is one Republican primary in Charlotte, and so I will.
Well,
Yeah, I will share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the basic overview, and so if you can see, there are uh, mostly Democratic primaries, and so in Charlotte, so maybe a lot of people haven't come out to vote yet. And one thing I will note is that the early vote sites haven't opened yet. The only one open the the main one, and so the others will open up not Monday because Monday is Labor Day, and so all of the early vote sites are closed. But on Tuesday, the additional sites will open up, and so you may see a lot of people who will come out then. Another thing to note is that there will be one Saturday voting session, and that will be the Saturday before the election. So you have, say, 1 week with the voting sites open.
So next week is the critical week. So I want to encourage folks that next week on Tuesday, you've got a short window to get a whole lot of work done. We need massive voter turnout at the early voting sites in Charlotte. And I'm going to put up on my screen the early voting sites because I think it's important for you to. This really can't continue. Charlotte, you've got to step up, and we got to see evidence of you stepping up now, not later. Now, not later. So I'm going to accept Tommy's statement that it's early vote, that because it's just downtown, we have 800, and it looks like 823 people have voted at the downtown early vote site. Sanford, do you care? 44 people have early voted.
Well, one thing I should say is that if you look at the top, these are the races. So there's only one primary, and
one
that's
primary
just a single ward. So
it's a single ward. Okay, that might not be bad. I love that Tommy will give y'all a break and give y'all caveats. And Rural Hall,
yeah. Also, Mommy, if you see at the bottom, and actually the vote totals, the total votes, I have included, the mail votes, because in Charlotte, there have been, a few people who have mailed in ballots. And so, yes, I am counting those also.
So are the mail-in ballots counted with the 801?
Yes. This vote total is for all of the primaries, so. But the mail-in votes are, I think all of them are from Mecklenburg.
Okay, great. Good job with the mail-in votes in Mecklenburg. Let's watch the system and see. Tommy, do you have any information about any of those that had to be where they were sent back? What percentage of them were sent back, or all of them met the criteria?
Okay. What I have here are those ballots which have been accepted and are going to be counted. I saw that there were 2 ballots, mail-in ballots, that were like pending cure or had like a photo ID had to be shown.
Okay.
And so now some of the ballots, a few of them that are counted were, exceptions or were cured. And so yeah, those are, counted, just the same, once they're accepted. And so, yeah,
Okay,
so there
so
are a few of those issues, but not too many. But of course, as you can see, not too many people have come out yet.
mhm. So based on that, um, the number of mail-in ballots, we're looking at what, 2 or 3% um, need to be cured.
Yes, and of course, these are the ballots that have, already come in.
Hmm. Hmm. And I'm going to ask you at our next week to talk about how the repair the vote is going, repair registration project is going. Like how many people have responded and repaired their voter record versus those who haven't. But this, I'm gonna now, to me, there, I know there are hundreds of, well, there are hundreds of thousands of people who work in downtown Charlotte and can walk, and clearly there are no lines, can walk to the down, it's not the downtown site, my bad, walk to the annex and vote. I'm gonna, Tommy, I'm gonna ask you to remove your presentation so I can add mine to the stage. And so these are the early voting sites next week. So Monday is Labor Day, and there will not be any. There will not be any branches open. No voting on Monday. No voting this weekend. Early voting is open today until 7 at the Hal Marshall Annex site at 618 North College Street. We need you, if you're downtown doing some shopping, go and vote at the Charlotte um, Annex. Additional sites Additional sites will be the Allegra Westbrook Regional Library at 2412 Beatty's Road, the Independence Regional Library at 6000 Conference Drive, Marion Deal Recreation Center at 2219 Tyvola Drive, South County Regional Library, 5801 Rhea Drive, South Park Regional Library, 7015 Carnegie Boulevard, Steel Creek Masonic Lodge, 13611 Steel Creek Road, University City Regional Library, 5528 Waters Edge Village Drive, West Boulevard Library, 2157 West Boulevard. Every site will be open from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. starting Tuesday, September 2nd through September 5th. Sites will be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the final day of early vote, which is Saturday, September 6th. I'm sorry. And we have same day registration during early vote. So bring ID and evidence of your address to the early vote sites. I'm really concerned, Charlotte. William, what kind of strategies can candidates use during this early vote period to get the vote out?
That's a bit outside my wheelhouse.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Why do you think so many people are uninterested in municipal elections when those are the elections that impact their lives more directly?
I think in a general sense, partially because of the 24-hour news cycle, people have gotten away from local news and local issues and their local government, and in so doing, getting away from their local governments. You see it like the state is big enough that like state governors races, state senate races are still important, but even council of state elections down ballot don't have as much interest as say national elections and national attentions. On off years, except for the senate seat, nothing's really hyped as important. So I think that's just a general trend that started with the 24-hour news cycle, and now because of social media, I think people are more focused on national global news and what's going on nationally and globally. And we've, as a collective, have gotten away from local news, local government, right? Or you, like your immediate circle.
And how can we get people to focus on the? I think one of the things you're highlighting is the kind of death of local newspapers and local news reporting. Um, we also see that local, I think you're right that with so many streaming services and so many 24-hour cycles, even though a lot of our local news channels have 24-hour news cycles, people are not watching regular television. They're not watching over-the-air television unless it's an emergency, and so they've lost viewerships. People are really kind of stuck in their streaming channels as opposed to, and if they want news, it's the streaming news. So I think how do we work with people in their neighborhoods around neighborhood issues? Do we work with people around in their workplaces to kind of understand
This
how?
is this is a case for local organizations.
Mhm.
So I'm sure there are grassroots organizations in Charlotte and Mecklenburg, right?
Mhm.
This is their ballpark local elections. This is their wheelhouse, right? This is where they show their strength and show their ability to turn out. And I think that goes for all the counties in North Carolina. I think when it comes to these local elections, especially not even a midterm year, but an off year, this is where your local and community organizations show and build their strength. And so it's kind of on them. It's kind of up to them to like have candidates that they support and to champion for those candidates or have issues that they want addressed and champion for those issues now. Uh, again, there's not going to be a lot of national money coming in because it's an off year. So fundraising may be an issue. And again, as Thomas said, early voting has not fully gotten underway. But again, it's more. Again, I haven't looked into this, so but I would assume like local race, that's community organizers and neighborhood committees that either believe there's something on the ballot and there's someone on the ballot to support, or maybe there just isn't anyone who has done right by the community, and therefore the community doesn't feel the need to invest in them.
Thomas, what is the data telling us? Is there evidence in the data that could, encourage more people to vote, direct the candidate, or on how to get the vote out in a more targeted, data-friendly way?
Well, the one thing that I will show you is if you look.
And you're able to get on the stage.
Okay, I will.
And again, while Thomas is pulling that up to share with us, I'm encouraging you to, if you're in the Charlotte area, to please take advantage of the 5 remaining days of early vote to vote next week.
Okay, these are the results from the first primary in 2023. You can see in Sanford had a primary, not in Ward 3, but in Ward 4. And you can see that there were fewer than 200 total votes. And so if you look at the Charlotte results, and these were all of the Democratic Party primaries. So you can see that for each ward, there are only a few thousand people who are voting in these party primaries. And I think overall, there may be 25,000, or so total voters in, the Charlotte Democratic primaries in these races. So I think that can show is that for these municipal races, say, a targeted effort, say by a campaign or an organization, can have a significant effect on the results, and that would be tangible. And also, I think
because it really doesn't take. You're right about that, because it really doesn't take a whole lot of effort to move these numbers significantly. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Thomas. Go ahead.
Okay. And I think that overall, I know that there is more interest in the general elections than there will be in the primary. But one thing that is important is if you look at, say, the Charlotte voters by uh, party, is that because they're, uh, much more Democratic than Republican. I think in many cases, the primary election, is in effect the
The election.
decision. And if you can see, for each district, I think, you
Oh,
know,
that's a big difference. Uh-huh.
and I think it's only
Is that
District
the
6.
precinct? Is that the district that has the primary?
Yes, District 6 has a Republican primary, and as you can see, this, may well be uh, a competitive election for Republicans. And so District 6 and 7 are, have more Republican voters, but in the other districts, it, appears that it may be that, the city council races are being decided in the Democratic Party primaries. And so,
And the same could be said if you look at District 6 and 7. Go back, District 6. It's the District 6 is overwhelmingly unaffiliated. And those are voters that could vote in either primary. And those are voters who will make the decision about who is going to be the winner of those districts. And the same thing for District 7 if you go back there. I mean, it's just incredible. And yet, what efforts, are being made in those two districts by either party to encourage those voters to vote and vote for their people and become familiar with their people. What other kinds of things can you show us about what's going on in Charlotte? Do Charlotte voters by race?
okay, okay, here is by race and district. I think I
Okay,
showed
great.
something similar to you last week, but I think here's the punch right. We'll start, from 7 and go down because that's where,
Okay.
so.
So we know that this District 7 is overwhelmingly white. It's 62% white. And
No.
so
62,000. The percentage is below. It's about 55%. So
55%. Okay.
yeah, that's a majority, but yeah, not,
It's not
overwhelming all
overwhelming.
the others. Yes, but District 6, on the other hand, you can see is, and that would be
80% white. That doesn't mean that those voters are not approachable. There really needs to be some effort, especially with the overwhelming number of them choosing to be unaffiliated as opposed to choosing to be in one party or the other. That means that if they won't associate with that party, then that means that there's some hope of getting to associate and cast their vote in the Democratic primary. In District 5, So District 5, on the other hand, is 64% African American or Black. And one of the things, so that's a district that I'm asking my viewers in that district, that's a district that we need a higher turnout on, a higher turnout than we currently are seeing. Okay, District 4. District 4 has 77.6% African American votes. We need every voter in that district, and I think there are multiple candidates in that district to share your voice. And we have a very large number of folks who are undesignated in terms of their race. And so that's important to pay attention to. District 3. We have a large 81%. Is that right? 81%? 81.6%?
No, that doesn't seem. No, that doesn't. That's what it shows, but it doesn't seem as if it's correct, and so that's why I'm curious
Double
about
checking
that.
that.
I have to. Let me get out of this.
We'll do some recalculation on that one. But the point is that in 2023, 1.8% of the eligible voters voted in the September primary. That means, and in the general election, less than 5%, 4.8% voted in the municipal election. That means that, and I've heard this attitude from several a council member in Durham who quite frankly says that the 11% who vote are not the majority, and he represents the majority in issues, and not the loud folks, but the folks who put him in place are the people who vote. But you don't. There is an argument against that you represent the people when 95% of the people don't vote. Their voices haven't been registered, and so politicians can manipulate their silence any kind of way they want to. I'm calling on voters in Charlotte to exercise your voice. Speak on your own behalf. I'm looking at Rural Hall where there have been 2 early votes cast, and it's a primary, so I'm assuming the 2 candidates have voted, but they didn't even bring their wives and family members with them. They didn't even ask their church to come out and vote. So I'm hoping to see that when we speak to you on next Friday, that we have good results. If we don't have the votes by Friday, I doubt there's going to be a big surge on Saturday. So I'm going to revise my early vote request to 2.5% for early voting. And so that means that by Friday, I want to see about I want to see the 1.8% met by next Friday. That's our goal. 1.8%. We're going to have more voters vote than voted before. But I'm still keeping my target at 10% for the general election, which would be double what we had before. There's something that has happened with Target since we've been on.
What?
Jamal Bryant has issued some kind of statement about it, but I can't. It popped in my feed and I didn't click to save it, so I don't know where it is.
Hold on, I'm doing research on my phone. Give me a second. Let's see if I can pull it up quickly.
While we're waiting on that, the CDC, the leadership has the JFK fired the head of the CDC. She'd only been on the job a month, but and she was all Trump all the time, but she was still a scientist, and he was taking her places that she had a spine, she had a bottom line, and he fired her for protecting her staff, for protecting her scientists, for protecting her team. And then her team all put in their resignations.
Yeah. Whatever it is, it has not hit the news feed yet. So It must have been something like from, yeah.
And so we have chaos at the CDC, and is having an impact on the availability of vaccines. There's concern about the quality of these vaccines because he's messed with the system. According to the Associated Press, that released this morning, that in the chaos, some groups are starting to step in and take over the work the agency was doing. The moves come in response to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s extensive, and there's some who are saying illegal restructuring and downsizing of the CDC. Many public health veterans see an agency in crisis with staff cuts, budget cuts, and unprecedented levels of political meddling. He ousted the agency's director, and some of the top CDC leaders have resigned in protest. But even before CDC Director Susan Monterez was fired, some organizations started pushing new ways to do jobs that were formerly handled by the CDC. So some are working on preserving the vaccine recommendations. Outside efforts don't have federal funding and therefore are not impacted by what goes on there. So what we have is workarounds being done, and people are having to rely on private nonprofits for information rather than guidance from the CDC. And by the way, fellas, have y'all got your vaccines yet for this year?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I got the vaccine.
Okay, did y'all get the flu, COVID, and the RSV, or are y'all eligible for it?
I got everything that was available. Yes.
Because this flu season is going to be something. People, get your vaccinations. If you're eligible for them, get them. Get them while you can. Because we're going to be seeing insurance spikes when the new insurance window opens up for the ACA and for um, Medicaid coverage. So you need to sign up and sign up early, and folks who are not on Medicaid or on the ACA, we're going to see about 40% increase in our insurance premiums. And if you have to cover part of that premium, I don't know how much your employer can absorb. You're going to end up feeling that pain to keep your coverage. Some employers are going to cut back on they may stop doing family plans or, spouses. They may cover it because they can't afford it. There is backlash to this one big, beautiful bill that all of us are going to see this fall. And we're having this chaos at the CDC. At the same time, we're having chaos at FEMA. And September and October, that's germ factory time because kids are going back to school and germs spread like wildfire. And with this, now that measles are back in the move, now we got kids in school with this measles outbreak. It's gonna, and we have JFK discouraging people from vaccinating your children. Vaccinate your children. We had eliminated measles in this country through vaccines and herd immunity. Now we have lost. The United States of America has lost herd immunity. Let's get it back. Let's get those kids. Let's protect our children and make sure that when they go to school, they have all their vaccines. We really have to rely on ourselves and take care of ourselves. We're seeing many clinics closing down because of the loss of money. I'm just so blessed that I live in a city where healthcare is what our city is known for. The city of Durham is also known as the city of medicine. And so we're spoiled here to have adequate access to health care. Our poor have adequate access to clinics, community-based clinics, where they can get access to health care. We're blessed in Durham that we have pharmacists, Black pharmacies, where we can go and get our shots, and Black pharmacists who look after our health. These are things that we take for granted in Durham exist in other cities, and they don't. So again, this is National Minority Donor Awareness Month. Please register on the bone marrow registry, and please, when you're at the DMV, mark your driver's license with that you're a donor, organ donor. This week, I want to thank my sons, William and Thomas. They'll be joining us all through the election cycle. And William will be hosting for me on those weeks when I'm unavailable. So thank you for joining us this week on Doing Justice Brings Joy. And don't forget to early vote. And we're going to talk about the Labor Day report of Oxfam next week on the show. Their Labor Day, they're going to tell us the worst places in America and the best places in America for workers. And I'm going to invite my daughter to join the family chat on this next week's issue to share with us the data that Oxfam America has done about workers and workers' rights and the campaigns that Oxfam is engaged in here in North Carolina and across the country. Any final words, Thomas or William?
No.
All right. Thank you again for joining us on this week's issue of Doing Justice Brings Joy.
March, march to my own drum. March, march to my own drum. Hey, hey, I'm an army of one. Oh, I'm an army of one. March, march to my own drum. March, march to my own drum. Hey, hey, I'm an army of one. Oh,